What's up, it's Phil from Fit Will Expose. In today's episode, I'm bringing you guys a part 2 of 6 things that novices shouldn't have to worry about right now. And I'm bringing this to your attention because, as you can tell by my thumbnail photo, I was hands down one of the most naive novice lifters out there. I pretty much fell for everything in the book, and I was just very gullible overall. So I'm kind of pissed sometimes about how much time I wasted as a novice in the novice stage, because if I knew what I knew now, I would have made it past the novice stage in a heartbeat. But I can't go back in time. But what I can do, on the other hand, is help you guys not make the same mistakes that I made. So here it is. Okay, so these pointers are in no particular order, but we're going to first start off by talking about bands and chains. Now, bands and chains are very valuable tools, especially if you're an intermediate or an advanced lifter. But as far as novices are concerned, bands and chains, these words shouldn't even exist in your dictionary. So a lot of people use bands and chains way too soon, in my opinion, and it's just not worth it, because you can make so much progress off just regular straight weight alone without the accommodating resistance. It's just, when you're a novice, things is already too complicated to begin with, and if you add bands and chains into the mix, it's going to make it way too hard to keep track of progress. And also, if you use them way too soon during your training career, it's going to make it a lot harder to make progress in the long run. So you might make some fast gains off bands and chains if you're a novice, but in my humble opinion, you'd be better off just sticking to the basics, just getting the movement patterns down, just learning the technique overall, and you can start using bands and chains later on if you want. And even at that, it's very optional. There's a lot of lifters who made it to advanced stages and above, drug-free or not, without the use of bands and chains. There's a lot of people who just don't really believe in them, and I think that they do have a lot of merit, but they're definitely not mandatory if you're a novice lifter. Okay, so the second thing that novices shouldn't have to worry about right now is intensity techniques. So stuff like giant sets, drop sets, cluster sets, rest pause, all these tools are really great, but the problem is a lot of novices are already lost and confused to begin with, and if you throw all these new intensity techniques at them, it's just going to complicate training. It's going to make it a lot more hard for them to keep track of progress. So in my opinion, it's just not worth it. But with that being said, I do incorporate a lot of supersets in novice programs. So let's say they're novices, they do their squat, they do their presses, they do deadlifts, they may do some rows and stuff. At the end of the session, let's say if they have to do biceps and triceps, I don't see anything wrong with supersetting the 2 isolation lifts. Or if we're talking about neck training, supersetting neck curls and neck extension, to me that's fine. But you don't need all these fancy intensity techniques right now. So you can start incorporating rest pause when you're intermediate or even advanced, but even at that, it's not mandatory by any means. Okay, so the third thing that novices shouldn't have to worry about is constantly testing out their 1 rep maxes at an excessive rate. Now, I understand when you're a novice, you just got into the game, you want to see how strong you are, you want to see what you're made of, you want to lift heavier weights, and I understand that point of view. But with that being said, if you look at what I said before in previous videos, the goal of a novice should be to get as fluent as possible with the movements, to do them often, to improve their technique, and just to get stronger. And you don't constantly have to feel the need to test your strength. You want to build it, and you need repetitions. You don't want to just be that guy who goes to the gym and just does 1 set of 1 on the top end set of a squat, and then you call it a day. As opposed to being the guy who, you do a 5x5 with like good form and you got a total of 25 reps on the squat. It's kind of like practice. It's kind of like basketball practice when you're getting shots up. You want to get more familiar with the movement, and if you just do 1 rep, which is probably going to be a grinder anyways, you're just teaching yourself how to grind a single as opposed to doing sub-max weights, 5x5 or something of that nature. Okay, so the fourth thing that novices shouldn't have to worry about, and this is very similar to the last tip, but it's just training with a lot of grinders week in and week out. And grinders have their place, especially for competitions and stuff of that nature, but in my opinion, grinders are more suitable for intermediate and especially advanced lifters because they have more full body awareness to be able to get away with such things. But when you're a novice, like I said before, your objective should be to get more fluent with the movements and improve your technique. And if you're teaching yourself just to do grinders all the time when you're in the novice phase, which is what most people do, you're just setting yourself up for failure, because you'd be way better off as a novice just going into technical failure. So you basically just stop the set once the technique starts to break down too much. That way you're getting way better movement patterns down and you're just ingraining the right habits from the get-go. Okay, so the fifth thing that novices shouldn't have to worry about right now is this whole ideology of feeling the need to go and train every single day. Now, I understand that you're probably a very ambitious person. With that being said, you're gonna burn yourself out way too fast if you're just going from the guy who just sitting on the couch all day to wanting to train every single day. So in my opinion, you'd be better off with more of a lower volume and lower overall workload approach. You don't need to be training every single day if you're a novice. And also, from a recovery point of view, it's probably gonna be way too taxing too, and just give your body and your mind a bit of a break. You could get away with just training, maybe 3 or 4 days a week on a novice program. And maybe you could do cardio on off days, but as far as lifting every single day, in my opinion, it's not the most optimal approach in most cases. So there are some intermediate and some advanced guys who run certain systems like maybe Bulgarian Light, but if you're a novice lifter, you don't have to worry about those kinds of systems right now. Okay, so the last thing that novices shouldn't have to worry about right now is super high exercise selection. Now, I'm a huge advocate of high exercise selection. I think it's great for hitting a muscle group through multiple angles. But with that being said, if you're a novice lifter, you don't need as much variety as you really think. So you don't have to be changing from back squat one week to Anderson squat next week to front squat to Zercher squat. It'd be better off just sticking to the same variation for a couple weeks on end for the most part, because you want to get more fluent with the movement, and you don't need to keep teaching yourself how to do these new movements when you barely even know how to do the first one. So in my humble opinion, high exercise selection when you're a novice lifter, it's a bit overrated. And if you look at something like Alex's novice program, he doesn't have a super high amount of exercise in it because he understands that novices need to get fluent with the movements and they need to practice good technique, and it's just not as necessary at the moment. Yeah, so there you guys have it. 6 things that novices shouldn't have to worry about right now. It's the part 2 of the series. I'll be making a part 3. But I hope you guys learned something, because if I would have saw this video in the past, I would have learned so much and it would have saved me a lot of trouble. So let me know in the comment section below what you think. Let me know if you agree with this stuff. And more importantly, if you don't agree with it, let me know, and let's have some intellectual debates in the comment section. So with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video.